Right. Okay, there we go. Super professional, right? Anyway, I know. All right,
Okay.
so let's get started.
Alrighty.
Got a lot to cover.
Yes.
We can introduce ourselves?
Yes.
Go for it.
Okay. So I'm Diana, and I'm super excited to start this journey with you, Donnie. Um, I uh, I originally I'll start with this. I am the daughter of a father who allowed the world to create his journey. And so I feel like I have been super fortunate to be exposed and be nurtured by a human being who really provided me some space to dream. And I feel like also I've been stifled quite a bit and didn't know where to go with that. So when we started talking, Donnie, I really felt like this was a spark and opportunity for us to create a space where we can talk a little bit more about where we're from, how we got here, what we do, and just basically who we are. So I appreciate being here with you in this space.
Oh, well, I'm glad to be here as well. So my name is Donnie, and basically we're going to talk about a lot of things. There's a lot to cover. We're going to talk about reincarnation, and this whole conversation basically, this actually between us started a long time ago, and on my end, it's basically it's my memories of reincarnation. I had died in a car accident. I was about 9 years old previously in my past life, and then through heaven and till now, I really did not know what to do with those memories. I have always remembered. I didn't suddenly wake up or drop acid or I don't know what, you know. It originally in my 20s I'd started writing a book as I realized that most people don't remember. That really kind of scared the shit out of me because I was like, man, this is kind of a mess here. And if I come back, I decided I was going to write a book to myself and say, I'll find this book in the future, and it'll hopefully save me a lot of time in my future life if I didn't remember. Because without the backstory to life, then it's so much to navigate. And so, I mean, it is already enough to navigate as it is, but even more so. And that thought kind of terrified me. So that book was called, it's called A Letter to Myself. It's actually still being written. And also, of course, we're going to call the podcast the same name based off of the book. So we're going to cover that, and then we're going to cover later on, of course, manifesting, but that's way down the road. We got to work our way up to that. Yeah, there's so much to cover. We've prepared for this. We've talked at least 10 to 12 hours about just what we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
So it's very exciting. Hopefully in the end, I hope that my experiences and my memories, I have no idea why I remember. I have no idea. I'm just a regular person, just living my life. I really had no idea what to do with it other than, of course, doing this podcast. I thought would be really fun and exciting to share with other people a different perspective with their lives. And so hopefully they're not feeling so alone in that journey. There's no religious tones to it. Not that I'm against that. I'm not, but in my own life, I never had to seek that. I wasn't looking for anything. If I'm saying, hey, I remember heaven, I remember this experience, I remember this journey, then I'm not seeking or looking, so I never did that. The psychology part, I don't have the education for that. I have no idea in any of that, so it's just very explained in a very basic way. But I think that that's more digestible and hopefully more genuine in that sense.
Yeah.
We're doing this. We're not concerned about likes or shares or join my Patreon or send me $5 or I'm your leader or some bizarre twist in all this. That's not what this is about. It's kind of, I hope that people can take from it what they can and hopefully apply it to their own lives. Hopefully find some peace within themselves, find some peace in the world, and then hopefully apply that to finding parts of themselves that maybe haven't got to exist yet, or finding forgiveness of themselves, and then allowing all the wonderful things that life has to offer to themselves, and then the people that depend on them would be the ultimate goal of this whole podcast. So, yeah.
I love that, Donnie. I think one of the things, as you were saying about your book is still being written, it really reminds me to appreciate and just recognize our spouses, but specifically Molly and your beautiful wife, who's a great friend of mine, and just the support that our family provides us, because we do spend time talking about this, and so it couldn't be done without the support of our people who surround us and
100%.
hold us, and not only that, but support what we are. All of that we will share may or may not completely align with your sense of beliefs or your sense of understanding or what your lived experience is, but the fact that there are stories to be told that you can dive into and you can begin to understand and maybe even connect with is what's really important here.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, our families, just because I have these memories and I have the experiences, with my wife, it can't be easy to live with sometimes, because things can seem so far out there and so different.
Yeah.
The really beautiful thing about her is that she loves me on just who I am, and that's that's all you can hopefully ask. It's really great to have that support, no doubt.
I love that.
It's not something that's easy all the time. It can be very challenging. Where do we even start?
So I love that, and I want to just put a little caveat. And we talked a little bit off mic about allowing things to happen and really experiencing acceptance and knowing that we land in a different place, and we might land in a different place. So yes, and we'll talk a little bit more, I'm sure, as the journey keeps going. But we had talked a little bit about why we're here, and then who we are, and then what made us decide to do this podcast. So I'm curious to know if you might want to share a little bit about why, and then I'll kind of chime in, if that's okay, about
yeah, of course.
My thoughts of why and what this is bringing to me as well.
So again, with remembering a past life and then remembering heaven, I hope it would bring comfort and understanding to people in their own lives, in helping to understand maybe themselves, maybe the bigger picture in life, maybe to find some damn joy before they die.
Yeah.
To not be so fearful about death, to not be so, just to hopefully bring some understanding, some insight to things that there's not a lot of insight to. Again, I don't know why I remember. I don't know. I have no idea. It's just the way it is, and I don't know anything different.
Yeah.
But it's something that I think is needed. That I hope that would help people to work through things within themselves, and then ultimately enrich their lives, and hopefully that life doesn't have to be all about suffering. Life doesn't have to be about there's enough horrors in life. There's enough terrible things in life that hopefully there can be just some understanding and some peace within themselves. I certainly don't believe I can give that to anybody, but I hope that with some insight that they can find it within themselves.
Yeah.
And that's what I hope.
I love that. I think two things since we've had conversations has been a sense of hope, like you shared. This is for me, and what I've been provided and gifted from you and even my dad is just a sense of hope on how we navigate life, or how we may not navigate, how life navigates us,
Right.
and how we allow it to happen. And so that sense of hope has been really huge for me. And just creating my own narrative, which we'll also talk a little bit about, but dreaming. Those two things is hope and dreaming are the big takeaways for me.
Yes.
That have been really beautiful, you know, and that are almost with practice becoming more and more tangible for myself, which is it's huge. Like knowing how to dream and knowing how to hope, and then making that tangible enough to where we can apply it to our daily lives is heavenly. Like it's the thing.
Yeah, that's it.
So awesome. So do you want to go ahead and I'll go back to our notes, but I'm wondering if you want to go ahead and just kind of begin with your story.
So the story from my memories start back in no, but so I was born in 71 in this life. My previous life was sometime in the 1960s, and my dad was a drug addict, probably alcoholic. I really don't remember the alcohol part so much, and I remember us. I don't remember my mom. I don't remember that part. Basically, we're going down the road. The main memory I would say is dying. So we're going down the road, and I don't know if he lost control. I don't know if he passed out. I don't know if there's a mechanical issue. And then we went off a bridge, and then into the water, and I drowned. So the transition from living to death. This is from a 9-year-old perspective. So it was very natural. There wasn't like I don't know. There was like I don't remember any suffering. It was a very natural transition. And then you're in heaven. In heaven, describing heaven, that's kind of difficult to explain. It's really amazing, and I know that doesn't cover it. I know a lot of people have, they go through this tunnel, and then they, you hear other people describe it, and they, this whole process. I don't remember that process. Like,
You're just there.
I'm just there. It was pretty great. Like in comparison to here's pretty tough. Here, I've got this body I've got to deal with. I've got to feed it. It's got to sleep. It's got, then you have all the rules to this existence in this physical realm. And there, you don't have that. Like it's so nice. Of course, that made me think about, it's so nice, but no one's in a hurry to get back there, right? But it's in describing heaven. So here in the physical realm, you have things, right? We have this room. We're here. You have a lot of things. It's all right. You have the things that you need to survive for this existence in this body. But if you take that away, then man, it is so freeing. And even communication here can be difficult. I'm talking and it's vibrating through the air and it goes through your ear, and it's interpretation and body language and tone and all these other things. Whereas communication there was really easy. It was really nice. Like things were more like understood. There was just it was just like, when they talk about like other people talk about like harmony and love and peace. Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Other people talk about, say, where you have like your loved ones come to you or your pets and stuff like that. There's a lot of information out there on that. Generally, children, as they're crossing over, their pets will, greet them and help them cross back over. Whereas adults, generally your people that have passed before you, they'll come to greet you and help you cross back over. But I didn't remember any of that. Maybe it was because I was younger, or maybe because it was so sudden. I really don't know. I do remember the voice of God. I remember that. I didn't get to see God. I don't remember seeing God. People commonly asking me about that.
And I asked you, and I think you said Molly asked you too, if God was a woman or a man. I just had to ask if the voice was a female voice or a male voice.
It was a male voice, yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah, no. I like to joke that God was a rapper or something, but he talked in raps or something, but that wasn't the case.
Donnie, I have a quick question.
Yeah,
I'm
sure.
sorry. So you were talking about like a lot of people want to stay in that space because I guess it sounds like a space of peace and of like tranquility. Did you feel like you wanted to stay, or do you recall having any kind of notion of saying, okay, I'm here, this is where I want to be, but that's not what's happening?
No, so a lot of no, it's not like it's not like you're at least consciously. I don't remember saying, hey, well, I want to go back, or hey, I'm ready to go back. It's more of like with God, it's more of like you're in His house, like you're this. There's a bigger picture going on that you don't realize at the time, right? So as just going through it, you're just going through it. You're just a participant in it, but you're not like, it's not like I'm not running shit, right? I don't run nothing. You know what I mean? There's also a part in it where you, there's a term called soul contract, right? So you have your soul contract. I didn't hear that term until a couple of years ago. It's basically where your life plays out before you. So it's like, this is also in the time when you meet your next family, you meet the people that are going to be in your life. It's presented to you, and of course, time is eternal. So time is not like here. Time seems very linear. It's very like, in 5 minutes we're going to eat a burger or whatever. It's not like that, but it's also not like, man, I got to sit here for 1,000 years. Are you fucking kidding me? It's not like that either. So your life basically plays out before you. The best way to describe that part of that is where, let's see here. So say like when you fade off and you're having a dream, and in your dream, man, you know everybody. You've known these people for years. Like this, you got your little spot, you got your little hobbies. This is going on, and you're like, yeah, you totally know what's happening. And then you wake up and you're like, what was that? Like, fuck, I knew every. What the hell? Oh well, it's exactly like that. So I think subconsciously we all know our contract.
Right.
It's basically for our soul growth and for our soul journey in a bigger picture, and it's just a small part of it. Just like this life is a small part of that, but it's kind of like unbeknownst to us. It's in other words like, well, why do I have to come back? Why can't you just like download that into me, right? Why do I got to come back and live
Right.
these lessons? Why do I have to do all this stuff? Why do I have to go through this suffering? Why do I have to do this? That was not up to me. That was not up, and other you'll hear other people in their interviews will talk about the consistence where like the kids are like, mommy, I picked you in heaven, right? That used to be a running joke with my mom. I would say that I picked her out of a lineup of moms, but that wasn't the case. The case is they're presenting it to you. They're like to say, okay, in this next life, this is your family. These are your people. This is the whole thing. My whole life played out, and you'll hear other people like in their lifetimes they'll say, in all external means, they got the right job, they have the family, you think they're very happy, and they're miserable, and they're like, I am not where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, how do you know you're not where you're supposed to be?
Yeah.
Because subconsciously you do know, right?
Yeah, you feel it.
You know it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know why you know it, but you know it. So I didn't remember a lot from my contract. The only thing I really did remember, of course, I remember my family, my mom. That was the first time I met her, was in heaven before coming here. And the thing I remembered that I was going to go to prison. Like, of course, we'll talk about that later on. I was not excited about that. I was like, are you serious? Like, would I draw a short straw? Like, what the hell, I was never excited about that.
Yeah.
But that was just part of my journey. And that was part of the things that I needed to learn and part of my own growth and so forth, so on. So let's see, what else can we talk about heaven?
So, so just to kind of recap, so you're a little boy, your dad's driving, y'all get in a wreck, you die by drowning,
Mm-hmm.
go to heaven, and you're presented this soul contract, and it's basically just your story, saying, hey, look, this is what's coming up next. These are the things you're going to go through. You meet your mama, you're going to go to prison, and you've just kind of been provided a preview of what's about to happen.
Right.
Okay, cool. All right. Okay.
So let's see, what else can we talk about heaven? Because I think that's, I don't know. The difficulty with describing heaven is that people want to associate it with a description of here. That's really tough. The tough thing is that I can say it's amazing, it's awesome, it felt great, it was love, and it was joy, and it was bright, it was badass, like it really was, but those words are like pretty lame
Yeah.
in describing that. And like my mom had asked me, she passed about 2 years ago, but before she did, she asked me, would you want to come back if you have a choice between staying or come back? I'm like, well, it's not I don't know if that's up to me. I don't
Yeah.
just because I have these memories, I don't run shit.
Yeah.
Right? I'm a participant in this as well. So I'm just a person. I don't know. I don't make the rules, It's like, it's like, also with our soul contract, and this is from my own perspective, this isn't, did I choose this life? Did I choose that contract? No, I don't feel I did. It's not like a menu. It's not like, I want that story. No, you know what? Let me pick those parents. Let me. You're not picking and choosing here. You're not cherry picking the good stuff.
Like Netflix.
Right, right. It's not like Netflix, right? And the life lessons that you're gonna go through, and the things that your challenges, they're not fun. If they were fun, they would be called fun. They suck. They're horrible. They're
Yeah.
it's horrible. But um, but there's I think there's light at the end of the tunnel, and not in that way. But I mean, like there's absolutely hope. There's absolutely there's a reason for the things, and life is full of horrible things. But it's that's our contract. Even if that contract is, maybe we don't live very long. Maybe we live a month. Maybe we don't live that long. Maybe we live 100 years. That's our contract. That's our journey. But it's just a small part of that journey of a
Yeah.
bigger picture. And that bigger picture, I don't know. I have no idea. I have my own questions. Just because I have some memories or I have some knowledge of this doesn't mean that I have all the answers.
I was
You know.
going to ask you, why do you think that we're provided these soul contracts, each one of us? And I know I was just curious to know, like, is there a reason why each one of us is provided a soul contract versus, just given a life and you live your life the way you need to or the way you choose to, for a bigger picture? And I know obviously there's not a set answer to that, but
What's my
curious
thought
what
on
your
it?
opinion is.
The question. Repeat the question.
So why do you think we're provided like these soul
Oh, the insight.
contracts?
I don't know. I don't know. Time is so different there. So time, it's so different there. I know there's a lot of theories on like these multiple universes. These it's all at once. There's no time. There's no all these other things. I really don't know. Um, I don't know why. I don't know why we're provided that. Maybe it's I don't know. Time is so different there. It's so different there. Here's our perception of time here versus there. Is it possible that you don't want to take out free will? Let me back up a little bit on this. So, even though we have our soul contracts, we have our challenges, but I think within those challenges we have choices.
Okay.
I believe in free will 100%.
Yeah.
There's a quote. It's what is it? Without the belief in free will, there can be no honor amongst men. It's basically to say you are not predestined to do anything. You are not predestined to this or predestined to that. Because if you were, there's no accountability.
Yeah.
And with no accountability, you could say, "Oh, I just did that. Oh well, it was my destiny. Oh well, it was my
It's meant to
contract.
be. Yeah.
Oh well, right." And it's like, no, you don't get that out. Like
Right.
you have your will and you have your choices. So there has to be accountability in that. So
I love that. So when was the first time you had a memory in this particular life and body of you going to heaven?
so the memory.
Or I'm sorry, you're dying as a little boy.
So just the passing through like in death, I honestly didn't realize that I died. I'm going to be honest with you because I'm living it through my own perspective.
Yeah.
At 9 years old, I'm not like, oh, death and this scary thing and this. There was none of that.
Yeah.
I'm just existing in it. So I honestly didn't know that I even died. I'm going to be honest with you because just from the experience of experiencing it, you're living through it. But as from a 9-year-old perspective, I'm not putting together that I even died, right? So what happened in this life, of course, you'd asked my first memories in this life. I remember peeing my diaper. I remember the taste of baby food. I remember peeing my diaper and wanting my mom to change my diaper. Like, I remember where my crib was in my room. I remember when she moved my crib in my room. I remember because I told my mom later on. It's like, oh yeah, I remember all that.
Oh wow.
I remember the stuff on the walls. The little what was it, Dumbo, the little Dumbo.
Oh,
And back in the 70s, I don't know if you remember those wood cutouts. And they would
yeah,
hang,
they're
right, that's old school. So those are some of my first memories in this life. But I also, I would tell my mom, of course, then I think I remember my dad's name. I remembered my name. I remembered a lot more stuff when I was younger. But as I got older, I mean, this has been 50 years ago.
yeah,
You know what I mean? So it's like, I can't remember what I had for breakfast yesterday. You know what I mean? So how am I going to remember this?
yeah.
But my mom was always kind of like, she wasn't discouraging, but she wasn't encouraging. It was just kind of like, oh, that's interesting. Like, like,
So you would bring things up like when you were little, saying, "Hey, I remember
yeah,
when I was, 5," or you would bring
right,
memories up
right.
to
Or talk
her.
about my other dad, right?
Oh, that's so
Yeah, yeah,
interesting.
yeah. So I would talk about that. And I also had like my dad, the way he smelled, right? My dad was, I know this is an old term, hippie or like a free spirit, whatever you want to call it, but he stunk of like BO and like drugs, like do certain drugs, you can smell it through your pores and like patchouli and like, not that I'm against patchouli, but yes, I kind of am because I don't care who wears it, but I can't be around it because it brings up so many memories
Yeah.
from my dad. And then there's the anger of, now I was like 30 years old in this life before I forgave my dad for killing me.
Yeah, I was
Like
going to ask you about that.
yeah, I realized it's like, oh, I the anger, youth anger, unforgiving type part of myself was mad at him. So anytime like I would smell that smell on other people, I would have this really bad reaction. I wanted to get the fuck away from him. I was pissed off. It brought up all this anger from my life being cut short I felt because of that. Now at 30 years old, that changed. I forgave my dad. I forgave him for killing me because what if it was a mechanical issue? What if it had nothing to do with him? What if he survived that? I died. Here I am. This, he killed his son at 9 years old. You know what I mean? Like, what about him?
Right.
What about his perspective? What about
Yeah.
his life? Instead of me being so selfish and so self-centered, it's like I had to find peace with that
Yeah.
and move on.
Which I do feel like those are valid feelings of frustration and being like, you were my parent, you were supposed to fucking take care of
Right.
me, and here we are,
Right.
I drown.
Right.
Here you are, you let me
Right.
drown. And so I think those are legitimate experiences and feelings that you have. It's just really interesting that even the sense of smell brings you back to
Right. It still does.
your prior.
Still does.
You said
It
that
sti-
the other day. I was
it
like,
still
note
does.
to self: don't ever wear that.
Yeah. Yeah, it
But
still does. Yeah.
it's just really super interesting. I wanted to ask you. Speaking of drowning, I wanted to ask you because you shared with me a story about when you were younger
Right.
in this life,
Right.
in water.
Right. Right. I thought I could breathe underwater
Yeah.
because I didn't comprehend I didn't make it last time. Right.
Yeah.
Because you're coming from it from a perspective of just here and just moving through this. So there wasn't really the perspective of this is just your experiences, this is all you know, but you don't really comprehend that the transition from, you're like, oh, I made it last time, I was fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not comprehending that you didn't make it last time.
Yeah.
And you can't breathe underwater here.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So you were kids swimming and you were trying to breathe underwater.
Yeah, I did.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, because I didn't know.
Was your mom like, child?
Right, what the hell's wrong with you, right? Exactly.
You can't breathe underwater?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so interesting. So you forgave your dad, like in your 30s. Oh, rewind. I'm so glad we had conversations prior to this because it really, some things just kind of float in my brain and want to know more. But you said that you knew you were going to prison. And you shared a story with me about when you were in fifth grade, maybe?
Fourth
Fourth
grade, I think, yeah.
grade? Tell me a little bit about that, because I found that so interesting. And these little connections between your past life and this life, I find really intriguing, and just really cool to know more.
It's a funny story. So I think, of course, I was a pretty troubled youth, I would say. And so I was put in a program they have where the inmates come and visit the school. It's, I guess, Scared Straight type.
Straight.
Right. So they had went through their whole spill. They went through their whole thing. And then they're like, does anybody have any questions at the end? and I raised my hand and I asked what type of cigarettes they have in prison, right? They did not like that. They thought I was being a smart ass. They thought whatever, but they didn't understand. No, I knew, yeah, I'm going to go to prison. Of course, maybe they knew I was going to go too, because obviously I was in that class, right? Yeah, that didn't go over well. Oddly enough, by the time I got to prison, they'd actually banned smoking in prisons.
Dang.
Yeah, I know, I was bummed, which is funny,
what?
because here I am here I'm like,
at least I'll get to smoke a pack of cigarettes.
Right, or something, right.
Did you smoke before you went into prison?
I did, but it really hurts my lungs. So yeah, my dad smoked 2 packs of cigarettes from the time he was 14 till he died, and he was 88, I think.
Yeah.
And yeah, this was back in my 20s. My dad, I was like, Dad, do your lungs hurt when you smoke? And he's like, no. Why? I was like, mine hurt. I smoke like half a pack a day. And he's like, well, you probably shouldn't smoke. And I was like,
yeah,
well, that makes sense. Actually, I ended up quitting smoking. Yeah, for my dad. Yeah.
I don't know if you know this, but I was a smoker for a long time till I was 40. At 40, I stopped smoking almost cold turkey, but my lungs never hurt. Like, I picked it up like it was super, like it was natural, which was probably the worst. I wish my lungs would have hurt. It would have stopped me from smoking.
Yeah, I love smoking. It's just, yeah, just makes my lungs kill me.
Yeah.
So it's just not for me, and that's okay.
So, where do you want to go from here? I have thoughts, but where would you like to go?
I think it's important. Let me check the camera. We don't have a camera guy watching this, so let me make sure that this is actually recording. So let me take a look, make sure the timer's still running, and it is. Okay, that's
awesome.
Good. So, yeah, sorry about that. I know we should have a camera guy watching the camera.
Well, then it wouldn't be organic and it would be more fancy.
Yeah. And what's funny is even us recording this and doing this, we had, what a funny journey even just to get here. I'm working on a documentary about something, of course, something totally different. But so I have this great camera, I have all this equipment, and we were going to find a place, and we were going to get a studio, we're going to do all this. And I'd watched a Instagram video of Gary, the inspirational speaker. I can't think of Gary's last name. And he's yelling. He's like, just get your phone, just start recording, and just do it.
Yeah.
And I was like,
yes.
Here I'm making this way overcomplicated.
Same.
Trying to find this perfect spot. Trying to find this. This is actually, of course, the city library.
Yeah, the public
library, right? It's free. It's good lighting.
Yeah.
Of course, our phone.
Free.
It's free. That's important. I ordered some mics. There's some great mics.
Yes.
Hopefully, the sound is good. So anyway.
Awesome.
So I guess we can talk about. We'll back up a little bit. Let's talk about the soul and talk about being in different bodies and stuff like that. So obviously I have memories of being in another body, right? I would have no problem visiting my grave, right, at all. If I could find it, I think that'd be really cool. I think it'd be really
Yeah.
cool to find out what happened to my dad. I would love that. I would love if he was still alive and I could talk to him.
Which is possible, right? Because that was the 60s, so
It's possible. He would be pretty old, but it's really possible because he was young. So that would put him, even if he's 70, even 80s, you know what I mean? He could
Yeah.
still be alive. I would love to tell him that I'm okay, you know, that I'm
Yeah.
fine, you know, and if he survived, then, you know, he's probably, you know, he's carried this his whole life, the guilt
Yeah.
and all these other things. And, you know, but I would love to tell him that I'm okay, you know, that I'm fine. I forgive him, you know, I love him. And, you know, I don't know if that'll ever happen in this lifetime. I really don't know. You know, as far as the accident and where it happened, I know it was a VW bus. I do know that. But in small time America in the 60s, it would have made local news,
Yeah.
right? But where would that have been, you know?
Right.
So, so I don't know. That thought doesn't bother me at all because I know you know, I don't see myself as my body anyway, you know, right? Because it's, you know, home is there, right? Here's temporary. Here is just this time and just this moment, you know. But I don't see it as like this. It's a very temporary thing, you know. Especially after going
Yeah.
through it already once, I know damn well this isn't me. You know,
Right.
it's my body. I'm existing in the physical realm, yes, but it's not me. I'm fine. Like my spirit is fine. My spirit's gonna be just fine, and it's only a small part of a larger journey.
Right.
You know, will I come back? I don't know. I don't run nothing, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just living it too. You know, I don't know. You know.
Because they only show you when you were in heaven. You were just shown the next part of your journey, right? Not the whole.
No.
Can you imagine how wild that? I think that would be overwhelming. Actually, I don't know.
I think other people that they claim or say that they're reincarnated and they remember multiple lives, right? I don't think it's any different than remembering one or two,
Yeah.
whether it was 2 or 100 or 50 or, you know what I mean? Because you got to remember from their perspective, it's only, you're just living it.
Because there's no time, so you're not actually dividing one,
right, and
2,
and you
3.
don't know any different.
Yeah.
It's just your experience, and you just go, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, to me, it's weird to think of not remembering. You know, that was the basics. That was the reason that I wrote the book. Or actually, I need to finish that book. We're in the process, so we'll finish the book. But and it's really just this conversation, really.
Yeah.
So you don't have to buy the book now. Great. I'm just kidding. Let's also cover that. Also, you know, monetary reasons why we're doing this. It's not for likes. It's not for subscribe. It's not like you know, join my Patreon or whatever that. I don't even know what that is. It's basically where you pay money. If ultimately in the end, I'm already living that life. I don't need to nickel somebody off of, you know, reincarnation's nothing new. Manifesting is nothing new. It's just my way of telling it. It's just a different view of telling it. So
I love that.
yeah. So.
And I feel like on that same note, I was sharing with you a little bit ago that the hope is, you know, sometimes I feel like we were discussing, sometimes it feels like when you're walking through life, there are certain things or certain ways that society expects you to behave or speak or even share out, and then certain shit you're like, oh, don't talk about that because that puts you in a whole different category.
Right.
And this could possibly, like growing up, when I would share some things that have happened to me with my mom, and I love her dearly, but she probably didn't want me to share because she didn't want me to be ostracized or even think about it so much that I was losing focus on like the real here and now, which was probably doing my homework or whatever it is that I was doing, right? But one of the beautiful things, and one of the reasons that I feel like my dad kept on asking me, I was sharing with you, like when he passed, all he cared about, he could care less about anything he left, but these boxes of books that he left. He was like, who's going to take care of the books? Who's going to, well, they coincidentally ended up in my house because I lived closest to him. And so I put the books up in my office, and I started picking one or another that were along the lines of, just diving a little bit more into subconsciousness and things like that. And then I started seeing, I was sharing with you, I started seeing notes and highlighted things from my father telling me, he called me the Anita. So he's like, this is for the Anita, or don't forget this, or practice this. And so throughout this whole journey, I've been like reading or opening up books that kind of gave me some insight and some guides. But it made me feel like I wasn't fucking crazy. It made me feel like there's some reality, even though I have not experienced any kind of remembering of my past life. I haven't experienced how it is that I land where I land, but it makes me feel like a sense of acknowledgement for who I am and what I know to be true for myself. So that is very special, and hopefully maybe there's just one person that'll be like, hey, wait, I'm not the only person that feels or has experienced some shit, which is really beautiful. And I appreciate that you're open to doing that, because the other thing we talked about was vulnerability and bringing ourselves, like our true selves, to this space. There's not anything but who we are. There's not even barely, we didn't do scripts, we didn't do anything. I took a couple of notes.
Right. And we joked about an online persona. That was fun to go down that journey. Right. But, dressing weird or I don't know, being way out there. As funny as that would be, I think it would lose the message of, because people could listen or watch and be like, yeah, if that's where that leads, yeah, I'm good, fam, I'm gonna pass. But I guess we can talk about, while we're in that area, we can talk about the soul, and from my perspective, as far as what part of myself continued on, what part of myself did not, what changes happen in coming back to myself and who I am and all that stuff. So I guess we can dive into that, because that's basically what you're talking about. At least I'm pretty sure that's what you're talking about, is what makes us us.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Now this is of course self-analyzing. This is from my perspective to say, who am I? Who was I then? What part of myself continued on? And then what effect on my soul did coming back to Earth and living this life, and what effects did that have on who I am? So the basic way that I look at it is the core of who we are. There's actually a drawing that I drew, which is funny, because I was like, oh, I'm gonna make charts. I'm gonna just draw this out for people. I'm gonna make it really simple. People are visual. They want to see. If you know what you're talking about, you should be able to draw this out, no problem, easy peasy, and I'll knock this out in about 5 minutes, right? What I realized with the challenge is, one, I suck at drawing. That's one thing that I realized pretty quickly. But two, I'm also trying to, the way to describe it is basically I'm trying to draw this yellow and purple flower, and I only have a black and white pen.
Yeah.
And I realized the limitations, being in this three-dimensional existence in this physical realm, with my 5 senses in this body, trying to draw something that, say is even fourth dimensional or fifth dimensional, that has, that requires, 10 senses. And I'm like, yeah, I'm kind of in a jam here,
Yeah.
and, but also with that, the feeling, so in the feeling of being in heaven, which I clearly remember, versus the feeling now, of course, it's to say, my spirit is currently in me, right? I'm here, right? I'm in this body, versus how I felt without this body, without being in this realm. Here, there's huge differences, but what kind of made me realize is that basically, wow, this is really jumping ahead. Maybe I'm jumping ahead here. I think I am jumping ahead.
I think that's okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah, I think we can circle back.
Okay.
Especially because I feel like, Donnie, I hope this doesn't lose your train of thought,
It's okay.
but I feel like literally just what you described as it being so dimensional that you can't, it's just so many things. That is literally us jumping ahead, because we've talked about how do we start at the beginning, but the beginning is not really the beginning. And so I think it's fine.
Is that okay?
Yeah,
Okay.
for sure.
So basically what I realized is that here in comparison to there is that I'm seeing a very filtered version of course, spoiler alert, of course, and I'll explain this later on, that heaven's actually here, is that basically I'm seeing a very filtered version of what's all around us. So my spirit's currently in my body, and then I have this perceived reality. And it is not a perceived. Every time I say that, I picture someone punching me in the back of the head, be like, "Perceive this." It's a real motherfucker. But it's well, you have your interpretation of it. But the rules are very set here. The physical, it's action, reaction, whatever. Those rules are very set in the physical realm. That's not a maybe or a possibility or a. It's the rules are the rules. But within those rules, there's realizing that there's a lot more going on than just on the surface of these physical realm rules.
Yeah.
And they're in parallel with each other, and that they coincide with each other all the time. And it's realizing that that's part of this whole conversation. But so we'll back up a little bit as far as the soul. I was starting to talk about that as far as the transition. The best way to describe, in describing the soul, generally we perceive our existence or the soul as singular, right? It's true that the best way to look at the soul is like a painting. This is the nice way to say it. There are many colors that make our painting, but all those colors make our painting, and those paintings are our own, but one color does not represent us as a whole, and it cannot, right? I mean, it can, but that's a horrible road to hold. So coming back into another body, I usually just use my hand as an example, and there's not a set. I don't believe there's a set amount of colors, and you could view the colors as generational souls. You could use a lot of different verbiage that you want to use, but it's definitely individual parts of yourself. And again, I use 5 just because it's convenient and I have 5 fingers. So basically, the way that we perceive and take in the world, of course, is through our body. So it's seen as a singular thing, and there may not even be awareness within ourselves that there are multiple parts of ourselves. That's something that we're going to talk about and cover.
Yeah.
And it's not in a way, and this is generally when someone, and of course the audience that's listening, I may be dragging it on and taking forever to get to where, you can speed it up or listen at a faster time if you'd like. And there'll be other listeners that are just completely have no idea what we're talking about.
Yeah.
But basically, in coming into this world, say that we'll just use 5 as just as an easy example, just as example on the fingers. We come into this world. We have our family, or we don't have our family. We have trauma. We have whatever existence that we're born into. Whatever that may look like. You may have family, you may not have family, you may be born who knows where, whatever place on the planet. Maybe socially, maybe they have a lot, maybe they have little, maybe they have a lot of love, maybe they don't, maybe, whatever the case may be. I'll just speak on, say, a traumatic, not exactly ideally the ideal environment. It's going to nurture all aspects of yourself. In fact, it might even be shunned, you could say. Say you have a couple of parts of yourself that are who you are, and you may rely on that survival. The term ego, maybe I don't even know the definition of ego. Ego gets thrown around a lot as a very general term, so maybe that needs to be defined a little clearer. But I'll just use that as a general term. Say 1 or 2 parts of yourself are only allowed to exist in order to survive, right? So then you go through life, that part of you becomes who you are, because it is part of who you are, right? Later on, to survive, right? Just to survive, right?
So it becomes, it becomes part of
your identity.
There you go.
Because it is your identity, right? It's like, I've got to do what I've got to do to survive in this fucked up situation. So you become that part of you becomes who you are. Then you go through life, right? You grow, and there's no age limit on this. This could be, you might have, you at some point you're going to have a spiritual awakening. You're going to have a midlife crisis. You're going to have I don't know what other terms people use it for. Really talking about this kind of stuff, dealing with this kind of stuff, it's a luxury, right? Because if you're fighting and scrapping, you're barely trying to survive, you ain't got time to sit there and be like, okay, well, what parts of my soul, what the hell, like, you're right? You don't have time to sit there, right? You were doing everything you can to survive, to try to make it through, talking about souls and spirits and paintings and what the hell you're talking, you ain't got time for that.
Right.
Like, I got to get to work or whatever it is, or I got to, deal with what I'm dealing with, So be able to sit here and actually do what we're doing is a damn luxury.
Yeah, it is.
To take the time and sit here and talk about it is a luxury.
And unpack and...
Right. To go forward and back and talk about it. It's really, I have a lot of gratitude for it, to even have this opportunity. I feel blessed to even just have the chance, But so at a certain point, the person's going to realize, I am not alone in here with myself. I thought this was just me. I thought that this was, I'm just going through life. I'm just existing. And all of a sudden, the way that I compare it is that you want to make some changes, basically, because that part of you that is intent to survive, that part of you that got you through certain aspects of your life, no longer suits. Now that thread is gone, now that the alcoholic dad got sober, the crazy mom died. I don't know. I'm not saying any of this. I don't know anyone's situation, because after all, those parents also, they were going through their own journey as well.
Yeah.
That's what you also realize that later on.
Yep.
But that's coming later on. But basically, that part of you that it took to survive, you did the best that you could, suddenly is turned against you. Suddenly, you're doing drugs, you're drinking, you're starting to realize that, man, I am fucked up. Like, this shit ain't working.
Right.
This got me this got me this far, but fuck, what about these other parts of myself that never had the opportunity to live, the other opportunity to dream, the other opportunity to find some damn happiness in your life before you die? What happened to those parts of myself that are long since buried, right? So you want to start trying to figure that out. You want to start digging this out. Man, it is soul wrenching. It is probably one of the hardest things that you will ever go through in your life.
Yeah.
Sorting through self, being honest with yourself, working through that, right?
And can I pause real quick? Like you were saying about privilege, unfortunately, when you're in this spinning of trauma survival, you don't have time to pause and think, oh shit, this is not. Sometimes you just keep going. It's like a whirlwind of movement forward. That you're just kind of riding that anger or trauma wave, and so you're no longer able to even live or even look. It's like a train going super fast that you just don't see what you're passing up. And so, and this will be for later, but one of the things that I think is such a gift is the gift of pausing, so that you can hear, so you can listen.
That's right.
Because sometimes when you're going so fast to survive, you're not allowed or given the moment to pause so you can listen, so you could, to let the dust settle for a moment so you could do those three other pieces of the colorful part of you. So anyway.
To have those parts of yourself.
Yes.
To remember that you have those parts of yourself.
Right.
And not to make things more complicated, because it is complicated. There's a term that I have that I've never heard it. I made it up because I don't know words to describe it. I call it surface souls, right? So you're born into this life. You have those core parts of yourself, and of course, a lot of them may be stuffed away, may not get to exist through you. They want to, but they're like, yo, when's it my turn? On top of all this, then you have surface souls. Surface souls, the way I see them, is that they live through the living. They move through the living, right? And this can be in good, and this can be in bad. When I say good and bad, I mean just really good would be promoting the survival of all of yourself and that freedom of movement within yourself to be whoever you choose to be.
Yeah.
And the bad would obviously be stifling that, stifling your dreams, stifling, everything, right?
Can you give me an example or have an experience where there's a surface soul in your world?
A surface soul, we'll do a good one. Let's just do a good one, because I think everyone knows the bad ones. Or maybe they don't. I'll give a good one. A good one would be, say you meet somebody that you're like, wow, that person is amazing. Like, I aspire to be that person. I aspire to have at least a part of that person be a part of me. Mm-hmm. Like, they are so amazing. They're so compassionate. They're so understanding. They're so loving. They're so amazing, right? So pick that person. I think we all have, if we're blessed, we have one person. If we're blessed, we have multiple people in our lives that are that person. Mm-hmm. It's not real. It's realizing that basically in our lifetime, that part of that person that we aspire to do, and hopefully we do, hopefully we adapt that, we let that flow through us, we let that become a part of us, we become that. What we don't realize is that part of that person was another person, right? Through in their lives, in a different time, in a different, a grandfather, a grandmother, an aunt or someone that was just so freaking amazing, so loving, so wonderful. And what we don't realize in our lifetimes is that person was also another person for them, and that was another person for them. And this soul moves through them, and it moves through time, and it's in our own lifetime, so we may not see that, but it's certainly there, and it's certainly still living and still existing, and we carry that, and hopefully that we share that also and move that on.
Oh my God, that is so beautiful.
You know,
I love that. I think that that reminds me of a friend of mine who's always referencing her indigenous ancestors, and one in particular that provided healing gifts, and so now she's a healer,
oh, that's awesome.
and that would, I'm assuming that would be maybe considered
Yeah.
a surface soul,
Yeah.
a good surface soul.
Yeah.
Oh, I love
Yeah.
that. I love that.
Of course, the opposite would be the opposite.
Yeah.
You know, it would be that just bitter soul that would just like put you down and like, you know, what you're saying is stupid. That's the dumbest shit I ever heard. You know, just constantly like putting you down, negative, and insecure, you know, not loving, not open to possibilities, not allowing the wonderful things in life for anyone, because they see that as a threat. Like, no, you're not going to do it, because if you do it, then that's a fault of mine, you know, or some just shit like that, you know. So it goes both ways.
Yes, and side note, I think if we were able to, as parents, as a parent, if I were to go back and be able to have a conversation with my child, let's say about bullies or whatever at school, they're going to be, I would have this conversation and be like, look, there are going to be surface souls that are going to be good and surface souls that are not going to be good. And they're going to be there no matter what. So our job, because I always assumed my job was to like get rid of them, but our job is to choose what surface souls we hear and we allow to be part of this,
to be a part of ourselves,
which is fucking amazing and beautiful.
The toughest part about it is trying to the individual, so whether it's surface souls or whether it's their core souls of their being, at what age someone crosses over to realize this, it's tough. So this may be something they may realize soon. Mm-hmm. Some people realize it in their 50s and 60s. Some people realize this at any point in time. And it's so what happens, so you have all these parts of you that you're dealing with, right? At some point where you reach spirituality and you reach, you start asking questions, right? Mm-hmm. You start saying, hey, what the fuck's going on here? Like what? Why am I not in control of myself? Why am I reacting this way? Yeah. Why is there, this wrestling match inside my head? Why is there all this damn noise, and everyone wants to be me? Everyone's fighting to be me, right? Yeah. And that's going to happen. It's going to, as soon as the person, I picture it as we're all working in office cubicles, right? You got the little cubicles all around you, and you're just doing your little work, right? You're just working. And then one day, the cubicle walls start coming down, and you look around, you're like, what the fuck is going on here?
Yeah.
Like, what is happening?
Shit gets louder.
Fuck yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. It does.
Energy.
It's because all the parts of you want to be you. They all want to claim you. They all want to live. They all want to exist, and they like go running to the fucking door.
Yeah.
Hey, no, I'm you. No, I'm you. I'm you. No, I'm you. Right? In the end, hopefully that the awareness of just that within itself is huge. But then ultimately, ultimately hopefully you find peace, right? And in finding peace, now those parts of you that you had to survive, right? They're usually pretty tough. They're usually pretty ruthless. They're pretty vulgar. They're pretty, man, they are some hardcore shit, right? They are, right? They're man.
They're the ones at the water cooler, like planning to catch somebody outside.
Oh, they're ruthless,
Like,
right?
all right, after this work
Right,
shit,
right,
we gotta go
right,
handle business.
right. See you in the parking lot, motherfucker.
Yeah, exactly.
But and then the other parts of yourself that want to exist, they'll look at that part and they'll say, you know what, that other part of us, yes, hey, I'm really grateful that you were there for us when shit was sucked, things were hard. I really appreciate that. But now you're fucking it up for all of us. Hey, I want a chance to exist here. I want a chance to live as well. But you're fucking shit up for all of us. You did this, you did that. And what can happen is a separation can happen within yourself. And in that separation, if that was another individual that put you through that, put your family through that, put everyone through this shit, you'd be like, you know what? If you're on fire, I wouldn't pee on you to put you out. Like, fuck you. You suck. Burn in hell, loser, right?
Yeah.
There's only one problem. It's fucking you.
Yeah, it's part of you.
It's part of you, right? So there has to be a truce, right?
Yeah.
The truce, the other part of it, you can't just like say, well, I'm going to be all good. I'm going to be this. I'm going to let these other parts of me run me, and that part's bad, and that part can just go away, right? It's like, no, like if you suddenly get into some life or death situation,
they're protectors. They're your protectors.
That's right.
They're your
right. It's gonna be like, yeah, look who came crawling back,
Yeah.
So there has to be a truce within yourself of forgiveness, right?
No.
This is one of the most important, huge things here. Forgiveness, right? Forgiveness of yourself, right? In forgiveness, it's such a beautiful thing, because then forgiveness is the only thing that allows self-value. Self-value, I can't give that to anybody. No one can give someone self-value. They have to give it to themselves.
Right.
The only way they're going to give that to themselves is through forgiveness. And that is really hard. Man, you think about all the stuff that part of you put you through, and now you want me to forgive that part? Are you fucking crazy? You'll have to. You're not hurting anyone else. You're only hurting yourself by holding on to that bitterness, holding on to that resentment, holding on to that fear, holding on to all that. You got to let it go. I'm not saying forget, right? But forget genuine forgiveness.
And honestly, like when you're talking about this makes so much sense on a personal level. Obviously, we all have these people in their cubicles,
Sure.
and we all, which I love that analogy. But when you are provided forgiveness, I feel like that's when you're able to allow other things to come in. When you forgive, like you said, there's acceptance, there's self-love, then you make room for the real good shit.
That's right.
That's coming.
Right.
And then, like I keep on saying, we'll talk more about this, but order to
promises.
allow. Yes.
There's a lot of promises with this.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. And openness. And that's when the world begins to.
Yes.
That's when shit really becomes beautiful. Like the skies are opening up.
Yes. 100%.
And I know we'll go more into that, but that's really exciting because, I feel like it takes, like for me, it took years for me to be in a space, and I still go back because of ego. And I know we haven't defined what ego, but even coming in this morning, but ego fucks with me all the time. It's like, oh, you've never done this, or oh, don't forget, like you did some fucked up shit back in the day or
Right.
whatever.
You're
it
bringing
is
up
that-
old shit.
Yeah, just bringing it back in to hold me down.
Right.
When in fact, forgiveness is, it's not forgetting, because if you forget, you might repeat it.
That's right.
But forgiveness for me is the ability to allow myself to be free,
Right.
from holding that shit that had to happen.
Right.
During whatever time I was trying to protect myself.
Right.
You know.
Right.
Yeah.
Forgiveness and what we'll move on to. I don't think we're ready to move on to yet, because it's important to understand oneself, and it's important to, of course, this whole discussion is covering the backstory, of course, with the reincarnation, then that kind of gives backstory into the understanding and the understanding of here and now. So that it's super important, and I hope that helps. Yeah, I hope that helps people in that. But
Yeah.
I know we're both we're both trying to reel it back, because we're both
like looping through.
we're trying to cover this really well, because we're so excited about the next part that's coming, and we both know that next part that's coming. But yeah, so the work that you have to do really with ourselves is recognizing that, being honest with ourselves, and it's a process. This isn't like, oh, well, I listened to the podcast, shit, I'm good now, man. Right. This is a lifelong thing. This isn't like, oh, I listened to that podcast, oh great, I'm good now. It's a constant. Basically, if you look at internally, that's what's going on. Externally, then that's a whole nother thing. Externally, it's navigating the external things that are happening here with the internal things that are happening, and have that freedom of movement, that freedom of flow. Because you don't want one part of yourself to try to rule all of you. It doesn't work.
No.
It's just not that way. The other thing too is that you have to realize that those different parts of yourself they're also what's writing the narrative of your life, right? And we can talk about the narrative of our life. Let's talk about that.
Can we, before we go into it, can I ask you a question about forgiveness, and at the time that you forgave your dad for killing you?
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like you were 30, right?
Yeah, that's
Around
right. 30,
30-ish.
31. Mm-hmm.
Do you feel at that moment, was there anything pivotal when you released that forgiveness, not for yourself, but forgiveness for your father, that allowed you to grow? And then I'm just curious how that might have looked for you.
100%. So at the time, so when I forgave my dad, I was heavy into drug use, because this was trying to deal not only with this life, but deal with this past life too.
Yeah.
Fuck. It was like, it's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah.
So there was a short time where I was into drugs. It was about a year and a half of my life I was into drugs. That actually ended up leading me to prison. And what was funny at the time, I remember thinking, I was really relieved that forgiveness had happened, because I didn't realize how much it was affecting me negatively.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I'm about to go to prison, and I was like, "Fuck!" Here I've.
Did you feel it, by the way? Did you? Because you already
I knew.
knew. You were like,
I knew.
My days are counted. I'm gonna be fucked here in a little bit.
Yeah.
So get ready.
Yeah. When the SWAT team came in the door. At the time, I always carried a gun with me, out of fear that, like, I didn't. Basically, when it was for dealing drugs. At the time, I didn't want to, because there's people that rob drug dealers and bad things happen. Obviously, when you're in that lifestyle, my fear was like, well, I'm in this lifestyle. I don't want someone to torture me or someone that I love, and I'm going to do what I got to do to defend myself. This is where I'm at. This sucks, but I'd rather spend the rest of my life in prison than dead, because that's where I was at. But I absolutely knew it was coming. in fact, I was surprised it took so long. And when the SWAT team came to the door, I was so glad. I was so relieved. I was like, man, I hate this life. You know?
Where the fuck have you been?
I know. It's like, geez, what the hell took you so long, you know? And, you know, I apologized to the SWAT team. It's like, hey, look, I'm sorry you guys even had to be here. Like,
oh my God.
yeah. I'm like, you know, I'm such a fuck up here that you guys had to take time out of your own shit. You know, like,
yeah.
like, you know, there was no fight in me. Like, I don't, you know, that world, there was a few magical moments, I'm going to give it that, but it was surrounded by misery and bullshit, like 24/7 drama, bullshit.
Yeah.
But that was my path, and that was part of my contract. But I was so glad when it was over. Yeah, I was so relieved because I just went through forgiving my dad, which was huge. But now I'm facing this. And it's like, damn, you know, I ended up I think I spent 5 years, 3 months in prison. And I'd never been in trouble. Like I got a ticket or something, right? I don't know, right? You know, even when I got to prison, the guys looked at me and they're like, what the fuck are you doing here? I'm like, I don't know, fucking idiot. They're like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, because I wasn't like this hard criminal running hard. They finally caught me. You know, it's like, you know, just stupid. But I was really relieved. I was so glad. I was like, man, I don't know what's going to happen to me. I don't know how much trouble I'm in, but I'm glad this is over. I'm relieved because I've been waiting my whole life for these moments to come, and they're here.
Yeah.
Thank God, like, good, because I'm ready
to get that done. Check that one off the list and go to the next part of your contract.
Yes, because you're born into this life. You're born into this contract. You're born into this, and you're kind of. The feeling was I was waiting for my life to start.
Yeah.
I wasn't living my life. I was living this contract. I was living this this obligation, right?
Yeah.
I born into this family, born into this economical whatever social status, which was very low. Let me add, I also what else is I felt sorry for myself, right? Because I was born. My dad's alcoholic. My mom, she had her own issues going on, and I did feel sorry for myself. I created a narrative of who I was based off of my life, right? That, well, you know, I was born in this family, this job, this education, this. Well, shit, the writing's on the wall. It ain't hard to figure out. Your life sucks, you know, and it's probably going to continue to suck. I thought maybe I would get in good with some government agency and work 30 years, and then probably something would happen. I'd lose my retirement. I might get a gold watch. I might get one cruise, and then I'm going to die, right? It looked really bleak. Like, I was not excited.
That's so funny, putting that one cruise and a gold watch.
Right. Well, because that was the American dream, if you will. Not even American dream. It seemed like like really big. Like, man, if I can get that gold watch and a cruise, fuck, I did it. I'm good.
It's a done deal.
It's a done deal. It's a wrap, you know? Not that there's anything wrong with that, but and then through, so I felt sorry for myself, right?
By the way, this is such, we didn't talk about this, but listening to you say that is so opposite of what I know you to be, based on all our conversations, that it would be really cool to see like the contrast of what that was versus how, what today looks like.
Sure.
That's just crazy amazing. And I'm not talking about the prison piece. I'm talking about the way you think versus then, because
then
you didn't
versus
know.
now,
Yeah, it's just going to be really interesting.
Yeah, I was doing everything right that I thought that I should be doing, right?
Yeah.
I'm listening to my dad. My dad's like, you turn 18, you're going to get a job, you're going to work hard, and that's it, right? So I was like, okay, I like working. I'm made to work. I will work all day, every day. I don't care. Like my body is made to work physical, hard labor.
Yeah.
Let's go, But still, so I created the narrative of who I thought I should be, but I wasn't. I was being reactive, I guess, instead of proactive in my own life, right? Because I didn't know how to be. I didn't know how to do anything else or anything different, right?
Interesting.
I also I wrote a thing. Of course, I started writing my book in my 20s, right? So I have all these other memories already. But of course, I'm still, even though I have all that. Like I had a guy one time tell me, "Wow, if I remembered heaven, if I remember being reincarnated, man, my life would be like amazing. My life would be." And I'm like, I thought, what a weird thing to say. It's like, no, I still have to live my life. I'm still human. I'm not something special here. It's like being born looking a certain way.
Yeah.
And people give you a compliment and it's like, oh, thanks.
Thank you.
Like, I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So even though you can have these memories, you can have all these things, you still have your life. You still you still put on your pants the same. You still, you know what I mean? So, but looking back, I can see why prison was so pivotal and all that, and why it was so important. One, in prison, I got to read a lot of books, right? I thought only rich people read books, right? I'm like, you got the time to sit there and read a book? Man, that la-di-da, like, oh, fancy you,
Pinkies up.
That's right, like, wow, that's just such a foreign concept.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to sit there and read a book? Like, wow, that's pretty cool. Like, okay, I'm going to go back to work. So, so prison, what prison did is prison gave me an honest, because I also, at the same time, felt sorry for myself, right? Because I thought, well, I'm born in this family, dad's alcoholic, economically, really nothing happening there. It looked pretty bleak, right? And so I created this narrative of who I was. I created this narrative of what life's going to look like. And I'm just going through the motions. And it's like, it sucks so far, it's probably going to continue sucking. And you're not looking forward to that. And gosh, there's so many things I want to say. But what prison did, prison gave me the opportunity to take a moment and step back and pause.
Yeah.
Right? It gave me time to reflect. I got to read so many books. I felt so rich. Like, the richest I've ever felt in my life was reading a book, sipping on coffee, and eating chocolate. Like that, I've never felt richer in my life, even though I've had whatever since then.
Yeah.
But to me, to do that was,
that's so cool.
What was like just,
that perspective is amazing.
pretty crazy.
Yeah.
So what changed? One, I realized that I was having a pity party for myself my whole life, and it was bullshit. Okay. Two, what I thought the spectrum of what life had to offer, I thought it was at the bottom, right? I grew up minority. I grew up, of course, I know you look at me, but I did. I grew up a minority in my area, right? I knew one other white person. So it's funny to say, because I'm white, that I'm the minority, which is funny. But it's true. In my little world,
your little bubble,
I was.
You were, yeah.
I was, right? But what I realized is that, wow, going to prison, I thought the spectrum was here and I was down here. But what I realized is that life actually offers a lot. And on that spectrum, man, I got it so good. I'm healthy, right? I'm fairly young. Like there's so many positives. And what I also realized, I realized that the narrative that I had made up was all bullshit.
Yeah.
It was 100% bullshit. That I had lied to myself. I'd lied. It was all bullshit. And then so how well with there's other things as forgiveness also happened, which maybe I'm moving too far ahead. But as forgiveness happened, then I started to allowing more stuff in my life, a lot more good things in my life. Also, I was also raised the generation of with my parents thinking of like, you stick by your friends, you stick with your friends no matter what, da da da. No.
Family's family,
right?
blood is blood.
Right, that whole narrative, right?
Yes, I know that one.
That's bullshit. And so the reason I say that is because one day I'm sitting there watching people coming, like new people coming into prison, right? And there's 200 or 300 people, whatever there is, and that person would come in, and they would gravitate, or they would be drawn to a certain crowd or certain group. Their lives would get better, or their lives would get even worse, right? And then I had this realization. I was like, wait a minute. Life's not just happening. It's the people that you surround yourself with that it's like the most, I didn't realize it was like the most underrated lesson in life. And so I was like, okay, now before getting out of prison, I was like, man, I need to figure this out, right? I need to think about this. I want to have a good life. I don't want a shit life. I know what that is. I know what that looks like.
Yeah.
Sure, it's whatever, but I want a good life. I've got to figure this out. What was the most in my life? What was the best times in my life, and what did that have in common? What were the worst times in my life?
Were you assessing?
Yeah, this is me thinking about getting out of prison. How am I going to move forward and navigate life, right? What is this going to look like, and how can I navigate within myself to have this best life that I can have? It came down to something really simple. And this was from watching other inmates come in and then their life's getting better or worse. And when you're in this micro example of the free world at large, there's so much happening. There's social media, there's this, there's that, there's this going on, there's this. You don't sit and think about it. It's just happening. You're like, oh, well. It's no. You got to stop and think about it.
Like if you took away, I hear you, if you took away all those factors that cloud everyday world for everyone, that's where you are.
The core of it.
The
core of it, right?
Okay, yeah.
It's finding people that find joy in other people's joy.
Oh.
Right? It was something so simple. That was the best times of my life when I look back.
Oh.
Right? When I surrounded myself with people that found joy in other people's joy. The worst times of my life is when I surrounded myself with people that tore other people down to raise themselves up. It's the scenario of they're tearing down all the buildings in the city so they can be the tallest one. Right?
Yeah.
So, and to give you an example, just a simple example is to say, wow, I was thinking about starting this business. Hey, I was thinking about just fill in the blank, some dream you have, right? The one person that finds joy in your joy is going to say, man, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
How can I help you?
Yeah.
Right? That's your people.
That is the number one gift my father gave me.
That's your people.
Like, you got this. I could tell him I'm going to go, I don't know, I'm going to go dig holes for a living. He's like, you're going to be the best hole digger in the world.
Right.
You know.
Right. That's your people. the other person would say, hey, I was thinking about opening this business. What are they going to say? That's the stupidest shit I ever heard.
Yeah.
You know, Bob tried that and that shit was a complete failure.
Yeah.
Good luck. You know? Right. So how are you going to fight through your own dialogue, through your own self, fight through someone else? Your odds of success, not good. In fact, maybe even impossible. Now, eliminating those people out of your life, and whether it's family, whether it's not family, whether whoever it is, right? I'm not mad, right? I'm not mad at those people. I don't hate them.
Yeah.
But I'm going this way, and I don't know where you're going. And I wish you luck. I'm not mad, but I'm going this way. Only I can hear my own voice inside.
Yeah.
Only I know my own contract. Only I know my own dreams. Only, we'll talk about this later. The universe talks in a whisper, right?
Yeah.
Only I can hear that, and I can barely hear it. So if you're yelling, I damn sure can't hear it, right?
Yes.
So you have to find that peace, and you have to make that peace for you. You have to give that to yourself. You have to be willing to give that to yourself. Now, I also think that it starts internally, because the things that we previously talked about, that has to be organized within yourself, because that's also happening within inside yourself. No big challenge there, right? So you work on that, and then it's funny, it also coincides externally. So as all this happens internally, it happens externally as well, So you'll also find now, as a person goes through this and realizes this and has an honest with themselves and works through that, their definition of love, the love of themselves, right? Definition of love changes,
Yeah.
As that changes internally, that changes externally.
I'm like sitting on that exactly, like that is literally, I don't know if you remember me saying that. What you just said is essential in my world of energy. I mean, some people call it energy. What you're explaining is what I have a representation of energy. So if I am working on myself and I say I'm going to internally be at peace, or internally be a positive self, I'm gonna let my narrative be one. When I could be around someone that doesn't even fucking know me, and they're feeling what they're sensing. It's really crazy. Human beings, and little antennas of what we send out, but they will sense the world around me will catch up in tune with where I'm trying to be.
That's right, and that's correct. So internally, where you're at internally, it changes externally as well.
Yeah,
it's really cool. It's really cool, because it's like, people are like, well, you've got to do the work. It's like, but if you do that work, that is the work.
Yeah.
That is that inner dialogue. That is that inner love and peace and forgiveness and all those things. That internally starts there and then moves outward.
Yeah.
Right.
Fucking 100%.
And then it moves outward, and then it starts to draw back too, and that's really cool.
Yeah.
Because you'll find your people. You'll find and as you move through life, there are people that are not going to go with you. There are, and that's unfortunate. And that could be family, that could be friends, that could be people you've known since kindergarten. That could be people, I've had to do that, where it's like, I've known people, but I have to make this. I made this decision. It's like, the recidivism rate to going back to prison has been 78 to 83% for decades. Right? We won't get into that scam, but it is a system that perpetuates very cheap labor by the lawmakers that control that. But that's a whole nother,
and privatized.
Right. That's a whole nother. It's like, like the wolves in the hen house, right? it's a system you don't want to be a part of or get into, because of your chances of getting out are pretty slim.
Yeah.
To me, I always kind of ran on the philosophy of I'm here to learn, right? So the bigger the blender, the bigger the opportunity there is to learn. And that, I used that, and I was fearless. Like I'm working on cars, because I work on cars. I was so fearless in that. Like I was like, oh man, I'll fuck something up. I'm going to learn something today. Fuck yeah, let's go, you know? The problem is that I took it too far in my recklessness and in my life, that I almost completely ruined my life, right? Instead of, because it can go from like, well, I know I'm not going to use that as a foundation for self-doubt. I'm gonna learn something. I'm gonna get better. I'm gonna grow and just go crazy, right? You can ruin your life, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm sitting there one day. I was my bunkie, Mr. Johnson. I looked down from my bunk, and I looked down. He's got his prison ID in one hand, and he's got his X-ray full of cancer in the other one. Like just completely, like it was crazy. And in that moment, I was like, "Holy shit!" Like you wanna keep fucking around? You want to be a badass? Well, this is where the badasses go.
Yeah.
You will fucking die here.
Yeah.
These people are not fucking around. Like you cannot be this reckless fucking psycho.
Yeah.
Right? You have to not be that. You can't allow a part of yourself to run you all, because this is where you will end up, and you will die here.
Yeah.
For all these dreams you had, for all these other parts of yourself that want to exist, for all this love and peace and all this, it's great. This is where you're going to end up. Do you want to end up here, or do you not? It's like,
Especially because that's not part of your like, based on your path and your soul contract, that wasn't part of your soul contract, which is,
no.
I think, where you said a little bit earlier, like that just because you have a soul contract doesn't mean you should be irresponsible with your own self choices. Like
Right.
yes, you were supposed to go to prison. Yes, that is a true statement. But what you do with that from that moment is where you end up, you fuck around and find out, and get yourself stuck there. And it sounds like, I mean, obviously these are new experiences, which I'm so appreciative of, Donnie, for me. But one thing that I see unhappiness coming from, I correlated to, you're not on the path you're supposed to be, kind of like you shared. And if you fuck around and you get yourself stuck somewhere where you're not supposed to be, that is misery.
Right.
That is probably hell.
It's
on
hell.
Earth.
It is, because you can't, you're stuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're stuck.
It's awful.
It's awful. Right. Right. You it's horrible. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. You lose your chance for growth. You lose your chance for all the possibilities that could be.
Mm-hmm.
You lose that chance for that next chapter, like the best chapter that's coming.
Yeah.
And you could lose that.
Yeah.
And it's like, and I think that's fair to say that anyone could lose that at any time. You can get stuck in, unfortunately, that part of yourself running your life, running it into the ground, and never reaching what we're going to talk about, reaching happiness and all these wonderful things that life has to offer.
Probably because when the walls went down in the cubicle, a couple of those cubicle partners ended up taking reins.
Yeah, there's a
reins
lot. Yeah, there's a lot to. Yeah, because there's parts of yourself that want to fight to continue being yourself. Because that part of yourself says, "Hey, I got you through this much. I got you through those hard times, and now you're just gonna ditch me. You're just gonna abandon me." No.
And you're not forgiving yourself.
Right.
once, you're like, you deserve this shit, so you just stay in
Right,
it.
right.
And then you're not allowed.
Right, you perpetually, the hope, right. The only thing, again, is forgiveness of self.
Yeah.
And that's difficult, you know. It takes time. This is a lifelong thing we're talking about here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we can sit here and cover this in 30 minutes or 5 hours or 10 hours, but even then, it's a rinse and repeat thing. It's a process. You know, it takes time. You know, so you got to allow yourself that time. You got to allow yourself to work through this.
And it's a process that we're living through. So it's not
100%.
like it's a process that you're still processing,
100%.
and I am still processing.
That's right. We're still processing because we can say we forgive ourselves. I love myself, but there's some shit that I forgot that I did. It's gonna be bringing up old shit. Why you gotta bring up old shit? You know. But it's a process.
Yeah.
It is a process.
It really is. And I mean, you're talking about old shit, but honestly, like when you say that, when you were saying, like, there are times when we have to come to a place of understanding that some folks aren't walking the same way on the path as us, and we love them. We got to keep walking because that is our own journey. You've told me that before, and I swallow it, and I'll circle right back around because of my sense of guilt or lack of forgiveness. You know, I may have done somebody wrong, and I'm like, but, you know, I'm trying real hard to talk to this person or whatever. And you're like, well, that is their own journey, and your journey's right here. That is so hard to accept, and really painful, you know. But when you're like, okay, got it, yes, and I keep walking towards it, like, I got it, and then boom, like, not a day later, and I'm like, but what about this person? Should I try to? And
sure.
Oof, that is so difficult.
It is difficult, and where do you draw the line between being an enabler or being a helper?
Hello.
Right.
Yes.
Where do you draw the line in that? Right. So you
are codependent.
Are codependent, right? In order for that person to continue being who they are, they have to have other people in place to allow that to be, right? So say if I had someone that is in that place, they're stuck in that place, and it sucks because I know what they have to go through. I can be supportive in ways. Really, the best way is to lead by example. You know, continue doing your own work, continue being true to yourself, and in that has to inspire them. That has to, you know, it's things they're going to have to navigate themselves. Those are things they're going to have to deal with, but you can inspire them, you know, by you doing the work. That's the best thing you can do for them. You know, they're going to be angry, they're going to be resentful, they're going to be, you know, they might even see you as a threat, as more ways that they have faults, you know, by seeing you do good, but they got to get over that too. They have to, or they don't. Right. That's okay too if they don't. I have, like, in the way that I see it, I have to be true to myself. I'm the only one that can hear what I can hear, and I can barely hear it. So I have to keep. In other words, like, I'm going to continue believing. I'm going to continue pursuing my dreams. I'm going to continue doing that work every day. It's every day. Yeah. We'll talk about that later. But it is every day doing that work. It's not like one day we go, oh yeah, okay, so we got multiple parts of ourself, and okay, we forgive. Okay, yeah, okay, good. I'm good. Okay, now we're at this magical place and everything's fucking great. It's no. It creeps. It creeps back up. It does. It does. It's like, I thought I dealt with you already. Why are you back? Right. And telling me the same shit. Right. Isn't that okay? Right. But it is a practice. It is a practice, and you get better at it. Yeah. That's you get better at it, and you allow you start to allow the magical stuff to come into your life.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
That's awesome.
Um,
Yeah, I was wondering if we could take a break.
Yeah,
I
we
just
can-
have to go to the restroom.
Okay. Yeah, we could actually stop it here if you want.
Yeah.
And then, do you want to talk just a minute or two about the next thing that we're going to talk about?
Yeah, we can.
So the next thing that we're going to cover, and we can rehash and recover and recap what we've covered so far.
Yeah.
The next phase in this and the next step in this is we talk about manifesting, but manifesting is basically realizing, coming to peace internally, and then what does that look like when we allow forgiveness to come in?
Mm-hmm.
What does love look like? What does that look like as far as changes in our lives?
Yep.
And then what does that look like? Also covering our narrative, because then we'll cover the other side of the narrative that we write for ourselves. So yeah, we'll continue on that.
I love that, and I'm just looking at our notes. I know we'll circle back at some of the things we talked about. One of the things that keeps on coming up, and I don't know why, is the bowl of spaghetti. So
Oh yeah,
we'll talk a little bit about the bowl of spaghetti.
Yeah, we'll talk about the
that's
bowl of
okay.
spaghetti in the next. Talking about the narrative of our life and
Yeah.
and our how we have our perception of our life, perception where we're at, perception of what's going on, and then cover that. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, I love that.
Okay. Yeah, I think
That's
it's a good place to
exciting.
stop. Okay, awesome.
It probably turned off.
I know.
10 hours ago.
Exactly, right? Oh, it's still going. Okay, that's good. An hour and 51 minutes.
Oh, that was like 15 minutes
That's
worth
crazy.
of brain thinking
That
for
is
me.
crazy. Okay, I'll stop
That
it.
is crazy.
I know.